so much. Up next, we have Andrew Young speaking on natural history and surface in the Arboretum.
Hi folks, my name is Andrew Young. I'm a new-ish assistant professor here at the University of Guelph. But I've actually been here for quite a bit longer than that. I did my undergrad and my master's here a decade or so ago. And I spent a lot of time in the Arboretum, so it's really cool to be back here, actually speaking in person to a group about my favorite group of insects. This isn't really a specific research talk, so much as just a general overview of the natural history of the group that you can see all summer long out here in the Arboretum. So these are flower flies. They're also known as family Serpidae. They're true flies, so they're Diptera. They're often mistaken for bees. I call them the other native pollinators in our backyard here. We have honeybees, which are one species of bee, they're European, but sometimes people think are sort of the only bee. I think of honeybees basically as very helpful livestock. Saying that we need to save the honeybees in order to save wildlife, is sort of saying that we need to save chickens in order to save the birds. It just doesn't quite add. But there's hundreds of species of native bees. Like, those are great. I love honeybees, make honey. I love honey. They're great livestock. Native bees are native species that our pollinators we need to save. Serpents are also native pollinators that we need to concern ourselves with. It's just sometimes people don't know the difference, or they conflate them. And they're not actually too hard to tell apart. So, because they're true flies, all flower flies have one pair of wings instead of two pairs of wings. Bees all have two pairs of wings. And what's even easier to see is that the head of the flower fly looks quite a bit different than a bee. They have very short antennae, and they have spongy mouthparts instead of mandibles that articulate against each other, which all bees have. So if you see, a fuzzy little thing out of a flower that's covered in pollen like this one, take a closer look and see maybe if it isn't a bee at all, it's actually a fly. More closely related to a housefly than the bees that we think of as pollinators out there. So they are very important pollinators. There's a lot of research starting to show this, that even in agricultural systems, flower flies are helping pollinate things that have been sort of previously unrecognized for that. I'm not actually a pollination biologist myself. I mostly study diversity. I'll talk about different species of them. But the other thing that flower flies, of course, end up being, known for, or unknown because of, in a sense, is they're really good mimics. So they are mimicking stinging hymenopterids like bees. They mimic bees and wasps because if they're sitting out on a flower, they're actually quite harmless. They can't sting. But because they look like that, lots of predators will leave them alone. These are two examples of what we call imperfect mimics. So they're black and yellow. They call to mind a wasp, but you couldn't make like a species-specific association between either bees and a species of wasp, for example. There's others that we think of as perfect mimics. So on the left here, that's a species of Spiromania. On the right, that's a bald-faced hornet. This is a pretty good approximation of a bald-faced hornet. If a bird has ever had a negative interaction with one of these big hornets that sting really hard, they'd probably leave this fly alone, even though it can't actually sting. But just to kind of call back to mind what I was talking about earlier, if you look at that hornet for a second, it actually has very long, very obvious antennae. And so sometimes when you're in the field and seeing these things moving around, the antennae are sort of the easiest way to realize that it's not a bee, it's a fly, or vice versa. If you see those long antennae, don't go and try and touch it because you think actually it's a flower fly after watching this talk. I can't be held responsible for that. But yeah, basically, flower flies, I love looking at them, I love collecting them, I love watching them. The larvae are really diverse. Some of them are aphidophagous, so they actually help in our fields eating aphids and other crop pests. Others are aquatic, and they help filter feed bacteria, so they're important parts of things like ephemeral pools and some of the ponds in the Arboretum. There's just tons of species out there too. So most of these photos, I'm not trying to cheat my own here, but 4 of them, so the bogfly, the hairy identic, the woodfly, and the orange-faced woodfly. I took all of these photos in the Arboretum years ago when I was working on my master's. Cool. The calligrapher down here, I took that dog off in the park. This is the most common species of serpent in the whole Northeast. You can find these anywhere. You will find them in your garden, you'll find them on sidewalks, they're all over the place. Whereas that orange-faced woodfly is really rare. And I didn't even know that when I took the picture. But if you're interested in insects and you kind of have the passion for it, you can find all sorts of rare things even right in the middle of the city. That's so rare that an insect collection that's over 150 years old on campus, we only have 6 specimens, and one of them I found here when I didn't know what I was doing. So there's always more to learn about insects if you get outside and just look around, and you might be surprised what you find. And if you're interested in circuits in particular, my PhD advisor actually led this project. It's a field guide to all of the flower flies in the Northeast. I have a couple of copies here. I'll just hand it around in case anyone wants to take a look. But other than that, if you're interested in insects and you enjoyed seeing some of these pictures, feel free to take the ENPS 30,000